Debbie Levitt. I'm from Delta CX. I've got the matching shirt and everything. And I am here today to do the 1 hour version of my strategizing products and customer experiences, SPACE for short. I've got about a dozen slides and an exercise for you. And just know that I normally do this as like 3 half days. So there are, 100 slides and there are 11 exercises. So if you feel like, gee, Debbie really didn't go deep enough into this, you're right. I have 90 more slides and 10 more exercises that we won't have time for. So this is just the little taste, un assaggio. So if you'd like to learn more about the longer version, I'm doing a full day in Denver, Colorado on May 19 or 20. I forget, I think 19, but you can find it at the URL on the screen, cxcc.to/space. Totally optional, but check it out if you're a curious cat. So a little bit more about me for those of you who don't know me. I've been in CX and UX doing strategy and design and research and training for decades. It's me and the dinosaurs. Where's my dinosaur character? Here you go. Rah. Delta CX is a full service CX and UX agency and consultancy. We do everything from small UX projects to large, going into companies and helping them improve their UX practices, improve collaboration, get more buy-in, the usual stuff. So that's why clients call me Mary Poppins. I fly in, fix everything I can, sing a few songs, and fly away to where I'm needed next. Couple of notes about the things I'm going to be saying. I'm using CX and UX interchangeably. Yes, there are people who have definitions of these that make them sound different. I believe if you do UX really well and you do CX really well, they can be the same thing. And also, I feel like everybody in one form or another is a customer. We can say users and customers, we can say partners and resellers, we can say dogs and cats, but ultimately, just so that I don't have to make a whole list of people, customers, users, humans, every time I say this, I'm just going to say customers, because everybody is a potential or current customer. They are first degree, second degree, whatever it is. So customers is everybody. And of course, find me on LinkedIn, tell me you saw me today, and you can catch me on YouTube, Delta CX, and we also have a free Slack and Discord community if you are so curious. Also, my email is on every slide. So if you find you have a question for me and you didn't want to ask it here because you're shy, you can always email me and I'm happy to help out however I can. So let's start by getting on the same page. Everybody at our company wants the same three things. First, customer attraction and adoption. If we can't win new customers, we might not have product or service market fit. It's everything we sell or offer has to be a match to our target audiences. And we want to win new customers, but we shouldn't have to trick them or pay them to join us or try us out. They should naturally want to because we make great stuff. Second, we all want customer satisfaction. If customers are unhappy or complaining, we're getting it wrong. We might have poor ratings, score badly on surveys, get angry tweets, and have lots of customer support tickets. Customer satisfaction is about a lot more than did they get a nice support representative that tried to solve their problem. Customer satisfaction starts with understanding how we cause problems so that we can truly fix the root causes. And third, we all want customer loyalty and retention. If we can win them, but they don't stay, we're in trouble. Are they choosing a competitor? Are they downgrading or purchasing less often? If we can't keep people, any wacky games we played to try to get them to sign on, rate us higher, or claim they'll recommend us won't matter. Any wacky thing we release to try to get them to do more of what we wanted them to do won't matter. And so to really get this right, we're going to have to focus more on customer centricity. We've got to put our current and our target audiences at the center of decisions. Ultimately, if I make a stakeholder unhappy because I'm pushing back a little bit and I'm fighting for what customers and users really need, I'll probably still have a job tomorrow. But when we are not making our customers happy and we're losing them, then our jobs are also at risk. And we block this attraction, satisfaction, and loyalty usually because of one or more of these elements. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, I'm not watching the chat. Please ask any questions you want. Make sure they're specific because I might see them in a half hour. And if you say, what do you mean by that? I won't know what you're talking about, but I will answer questions at the end. I want to get through the slides and do the exercise, and then we'll take a look at questions. And I'm happy to stay late to answer all the questions in case there are an overwhelming amount of questions. Okay, so how are we blocking customer and user centricity? First of all, complaints, bugs, problems, and frustrations are unresolved. Companies like to prioritize new features over fixing problems. They hope they've released something good enough to keep users, but what we internally declare good enough is rarely good enough for our customers, especially those who are paying. Why stay with the company that releases broken products and deprioritizes the improvements you requested if not demanded? We block it with our value proposition. What do your products or services offer that your competitors don't? Why should people try this, use this, or stay with it? How do you make your customers' lives better? And how do you make their tasks faster, easier, or better in some way? And how have you priced what you offer? Poor product services and experiences. I like to call them PSE, so I don't have to keep saying product services and experiences. And there are so many ways that these can be perceived as low value by our potential and current customers. And you can think of multiple times that you started with somebody's PSE and then you uninstalled, canceled, downgraded, sometimes within hours, days, or weeks. So our company might be aggressively chasing business goals and trying to make customers take the actions the business wants them to take, but we've put customers in the periphery. They are not at the center. We're not facilitating their tasks or helping them do what they would choose for themselves. And our customers are intelligent people who can tell when our company didn't care what they needed. We also block this with negative and disappointing human experiences. Even if the products and services are decent, there are human interactions that can be deal breakers. We've all struggled with support reps who didn't seem to understand our problem or care about it and left us without a resolution. I once didn't renew a SaaS subscription because I hated dealing with that company's salespeople. Every interaction with a customer is a chance to improve or hurt a relationship. Customer centricity is hot, and some people are starting to ask good questions. Look and listen for allies. Here's some that I've seen. Scrum Masters are asking why we have so many failed MVPs and experiments. Project managers are looking at the cost of features we guessed at. Agile coaches are realizing we did all those workshops and we really didn't innovate anything. Strategists or marketing are wondering why it's hard to meet our goals. Support and CX are reporting higher complaints, angry tweets, and low ratings. Sales is struggling to win or retain customers. We know we're losing to competitors. We're hearing more about the importance of CX, and everybody's favorite, Amazon is customer obsessed, so we should do that too. Any door is an open door. Go ahead and walk through. Will we be product led, engineering led, or sales led? What about values led, led by our company values? I say, nope, we should be value led. How much value can we frequently create for potential and current customers? Now, people say, wouldn't that be product led? Well, being product led is supposed to be about attracting and retaining customers through high value product services and experiences. But some product led companies decide on features based on guesses, assumptions, or things they want to push people to do. That might be product led, but it wouldn't qualify as value led. So we might say we're a sales led organization, but ultimately we're selling those product services and experiences, and they've got to be a great product, service, and experience market fit. Sales can struggle turning trial customers into paid, turning leads into conversions, and retaining and growing existing customers when our PSE are low value and fail to meet our target audience's standards. All roads lead back to quality and value as perceived and judged by customers. But we don't always stop and seriously consider how inefficient our team is when we work from guesses. We think, wow, we'll just go with this idea. We'll be really fast. And of course, we can build what a stakeholder tells us to build. But if this isn't based on great customer intelligence, risks are high. We could end up being far from agile and far from lean when we have to make changes, redo things, or in a really bad situation, roll back to an old version. How can we know what customers need and what their workflows look like? Your company might use a lot of surveys to try to learn what customers want. But have you ever seen these surveys? They're often really flawed, asking people to guess if they'll like an idea they haven't even seen and they'll use it in the future, and what'll they pay for a thing they can't see. It's amazing. It's really spooky. How can you predict what you may or may not buy in the future? But this isn't good evidence, and we're supposed to be basing strategies and decisions and product on this. So we want to make sure we're getting better evidence, which is through better qualitative research, especially early generative research. Now, I'm often asked, how can we tie good or bad research to outcomes? During a project, there's a few things you can watch for, like there's no overarching CX, UX, or product strategy. Sure, we have a to-do list of features, but what are we really doing and why? Are we challenging products that seem to have no strategy or a bad strategy? Do we have success criteria? Do the success criteria mention customer success or only business success? Do we have clear and reasonable KPIs that relate to the work we're doing? Are we measuring anything around solving the customer's needs really well? Another symptom is having no customer-focused problem statements. We might have a statement around what the business hopes to achieve, but where's the customer? We should write problem statements based on evidence and knowledge, not guesses and assumptions. And it's hard to make decisions without the right evidence, so we end up fighting over opinions. We're not led by qualitative data and a clear strategy, so it's often, what is a product manager like? Or what is an engineering lead like? When we pretend to have empathy, everybody say it with me, empathy, and we finally wonder what would the user like, we really don't know. We're back to guessing and assuming, which is risky. When we have reliable and strong qualitative and quantitative data, our team understands customers and their needs, tasks, and perspectives. We're then more likely to align around how we balance that with the outcomes the business wants for itself. Symptoms that we're working from bad evidence are really clear after we release products and services to the public. But by then, it costs us way more to fix problems we've created. We might lose customers and not be able to win them back. Risks and wastes and the costs of poor quality, which is a cool Lean Six Sigma thing you should Google, costs of poor quality, they're going to be high when we don't notice or care early about bad evidence as a root cause. Other symptoms you'll notice, high support utilization. Is there a wave of support tickets about your change or new feature? Then it's probably not going well. Maybe if we added support costs to the budget, someone will care when we push our problems off on the support team. What about negative voice of the customer sentiments? Those are symptoms that should be hard to ignore. Angry tweets and social posts, poor ratings and reviews, lower customer satisfaction or NPS scores, they're telling us we're getting something wrong. It's bad that we're figuring it out this late. It'll be worse if we don't act on it quickly or at all. Did those unhappy customers speak with their dollar and downgrade or leave? Are we seeing lower retention or loyalty? We're not meeting customers' needs and they're tired of our guesses and the crumbs we thought would be good enough. An A/B test where B loses tells us that our new idea is worse than the one we have. We knew the existing idea wasn't that great because we were trying to fix or replace it or improve it. We must be working from bad evidence or no evidence if we got this far into a project and didn't know that B was worse than A. Another clear symptom is we didn't meet our own goals. Our KPIs or OKRs. Now we've got to figure out why. Poor research, the wrong research, not enough research, working from outdated research, working only from desk research. Any of these types of bad evidence can be root causes for our disaster projects, as well as our poor customer and business outcomes. Now, usually people say to me, oh, this isn't research. This is just bad design, or we have a bad designer. And I say, a good designer can only work from the knowledge that we have, the strategy of the project, the qualitative evidence that came from observations and interviews done by a qualified professional. We can't expect a designer to create the best designs because a survey said people like our idea. So what you think is bad design could be bad design, but it could also be a symptom of the real root cause. If it's not tech debt, like a bug, a slow site, or a bad database, it's a CX or UX problem. And in many cases, the tech problem is perceived by the user as a user experience or CX problem. So all roads lead back to the evidence and information we use for our strategies, decisions, and products. And people say, oh, I can't convince people to care about research. Your company already believes in research. Some of it is good and actionable, and some of it is crappy and weird, but they believe in research. They use surveys. They want to talk to customers. They review analytics data and rely on dashboards. They want to hold focus groups. They want to know the voice of the customer with their tweets and social posts and ratings and reviews. We want to dig into what customer support is hearing. We can search through their tickets by keywords, features, and other data. Your company probably loves mountains of market research. They might use that market research and predictions about possible consumer behavior to make their decisions and form their strategies. So it's not like your company doesn't understand that research, knowledge, and data are valuable. They're probably just stuck in a we're good enough loop of mediocrity, plus a fear that deeper research takes too much time and money. We'll need to show that working from great evidence and more reliable customer intelligence save time and money, mitigate risk, and reduce waste. We'll want to show that this leads to cheaper adoption of customers, higher satisfaction, and improved and cheaper customer retention. Now, some people aren't that familiar with research, so quickly let's talk about what are some different general types of research and how would we know when to use each one? Well, this is the short version, so we're just going to have to go quickly into this. Generative research generates information about people, contexts, and how people interact with systems and other people. We use it to learn more about users, tasks, behaviors, perceptions, and mental models. We learn about decision making and habits. We might observe how people perform a task, but the goal of generative research is not to assess usability of a product. It's to learn more about our target audience and their behaviors. It's about answering questions and replacing guesses and assumptions with knowledge and evidence. Also note that generative research is usually solution agnostic. We're not set on any particular feature or proving this feature is good or that people want it. We just want to learn about people so that we can invent solutions that best match them. Evaluative research evaluates a concept or design that we already have. During user-centered design, we might be evaluating a work in progress, like a prototype. Evaluative research mitigates risk by keeping the wrong products from going out into the public. Through cycles of early testing with our target audiences, we can check for excellent usability and that product market fit. Evaluative research will also tell us if this design or product is solving real problems, really works for our users and their contexts, or if there's still room for improvement. Did we solve that original problem well, or do we need to spend more time on this solution before it goes out to the public? And then there's also ways to do evaluative research after it goes out to the public. Some of that is quantitative, like checking analytics and our KPIs, experiments and A/B testing. But we should add qualitative research to fill in what the numbers can't tell us: who, what, where, when, especially why, and how. So it's best when we can use all three of these thoroughly and part of our strategic approach to the customer experience. All of these research types are essential, but especially after release, very often we're just looking at small or incremental improvements, but we don't have to. That's not innovative. So we will also need generative and qualitative research to help us be more innovative and leap past competitors. And also quickly, people tend to ask me, what's the difference between CX UX research and market research? And mostly CX UX research is about behavioral stuff. How does our target audience do things now? Their tasks and needs and perspectives. How do we find opportunities to fulfill an unmet need? We get details that surveys won't give us so we can make better decisions. Market research is often focused on demographics or the competition, or what do people say they like? What do they say they need? How do they rate us or rank us? Or, do people claim that they might try this thing or do this thing in the future? Unfortunately, a lot of these types of surveys can be very flawed. And if you hang out on LinkedIn at all, you're going to see stories from people who ran a survey. I saw one guy said they ran a survey asking people if their website asked for additional information, would people give it? 80% said yes. And when they released the feature, 0.4% of people actually gave the additional information. So CX and UX research like to stay away from predictions and hypotheses and whether people claim they like something that we describe. So consider transforming how you do research, because market research can work where it's working for you and where it's helping you predict things well, but take a look at CX and UX research as well, especially generative and observational. So if we want to be more customer-centric and we want to improve how we strategize products and customer experiences, I've got a suggestion for a high-level process. Now, again, this is probably going to be different from what you're doing now, so it's best to experiment with it at your company with one or two projects. Yes, the project is going to take longer. Be prepared for that. Yes, it might need different staffing or team composition than you've had. Be prepared for that. And again, if I can help, reach out. But your new high-level approach would look something like this. First, what's our focus area? Very often an executive or a high-level leader says, we need to improve our products. That's extremely broad. What's going wrong? I don't know how to fix it until I know what's going wrong. I don't want to take away something that's working, and I don't want to not fix something that's broken. So we have to start by figuring out, where are we focusing, which is also going to bring up questions of, what do we know? What do we know? What don't we know? Are we relying on guesses and assumptions? Do we have good data? Have we done good research? I'm gonna show you something in the next slide about a quadrant-based exercise that you can run that we're gonna try together. And that's going to help you feed this process and also help get more buy-in for the research and for the process. I suggest writing problem statements. Once you've done that better generative research and we really get our customers, what are their problems? What are their pain points? Now we should know we're not guessing. Next, we can do the Delta CX impact map, which I'm going to talk about today, but we won't have time to do as an exercise because I've got to get to the exercise in about 10 minutes. to be on time today. But the Delta CX, so the Delta CX impact map is coming soon. But it's going to help you look again more closely at the root causes of what is going on for the customer that we can improve, tie it to things in the business, and again, help get buy-in for improving that thing for the customer because of where it's hurting the business. And usually that inspires us to go back to evidence and data and knowledge. Now that we are wondering, how does this impact the business? We may or may not know. Now that we're looking at root causes of this customer problem, we may or may not know. Do we need more research? And sometimes when we do that research, we end up reframing the problem. This is pretty common in areas like service design. Then I suggest a Delta CX change dependency map. Do I have that in the slides today? No. So I cut it for time, but I think I have it on my customer-centricity.com website in the articles section. So it's out there. You don't have to buy my book if you don't want to. You can buy my book if you do want to. It's called Customers Know You Suck, but it's also out there for free. And again, the change dependency map reminds us that some of the things we think will create change in our company have blockers. I see people saying, oh, just bring in a trainer, just have Debbie come train us. Sure, but if we don't have other things in place, like more time, empowerment to try new ways of working, more researchers, it's going to fail. And you're going to wonder, why did we pay Debbie to read slides to us? So we have to make sure that we've built our map and we've taken a look at what's going to block change so we can free up those blockers. We also want to do a prioritization exercise. Typically, we're prioritizing features based on what engineering thinks is easy and what the business thinks will make money. But the customer and user have to be in that conversation. And if we want to get away from being a feature factory, then we're prioritizing users' needs and pain points based on what we learned in research, not the features we hope they're going to like. We prioritize what they need, and then we figure out how to solve them. Accountability. I think that would change everything at our jobs overnight if there were any real accountability at all. Emojis up. Anybody for accountability? Just me? Somebody's got to be responsible for this stuff. Right now, it seems like nobody gets in trouble when we have disaster projects, when customers are unhappy, when broken things go unfixed. I want to see real accountability in companies. I know that's scary, but I feel like it's the only way we're going to start to see some of the changes many of us want. And finally, governance, which I don't know if I cut that for time as well, but I've got a governance model so that as you are making changes in your company, it's kind of a change management adventure, less of a UX adventure. When you are trying to make that change or talk to your leaders about the change, how are we going to oversee and watch the changes we're making and use some standards and make sure that this is going well, or keep an eye on it and see where it needs to improve? Just change management stuff. So this is the exercise we're going to do. We're not going to do it yet. We're still in slides, but I believe that every project should be doing this exercise at least once, preferably at the very beginning, even when you're first planning the project and wondering, how long does this even need? And this is a simple quadrant that I got from Helen Page, who I worked from last year, so she gets the credit. And basically, you just get people together at the same time or asynchronously, and it doesn't have to be a huge workshop. It could be a half hour or an hour, and you want to get them focused on this current or future project and the users, and ask them to just fill the board with, what do they think they know? Think about our users, their process, their needs, our system. What unanswered questions do we have? What are our guesses and assumptions? What do people on your team wish they knew? What might be outdated or incorrect information? Because when we don't know, it's time for research. The more unanswered questions we have as we allow our project to progress, the more risk we're incurring and the more expensive it'll be to fix mistakes later. So you want to invest in research early as your insurance policy against mistakes, guesses, and uninformed decisions. This should also help you get some buy-in on projects because you want to look at this board full of questions and say, hey, if we have this many unanswered questions, we should press pause on this. Let's make sure we're giving our researchers some time to go do whatever methods we need to do to answer these questions. We should know. So this is a traditional impact map, and I'm just going to blow through this slide quickly. You see a lot out there right now about impact maps, but if you look closely at an impact map, I think it's completely not customer-centric, anti-customer-centric. Many of these impact maps start with a business goal, something that the business wants to achieve. The customer isn't even on the screen here. And it looks like we build these impact maps based on what we think we can push people to do. We're going to show them more ads. We're going to send them more emails. We're going to whatever. And it's really kind of accidentally solution focused. How do we know any of this? How do we know that this is going to work? How do we know this is what people want? This is a map of guesses, and that is risky. Also, we've got users on here, but again, it looks like they're pawns. We're just going to push them around and try to make them engage, whatever that means this week, or make them do a thing. And that is ultimately could be a short-term win, but generally, you know from being a customer, you hate that crap. Why do we hate this crap and then go into our jobs and do this crap? So let's be speaking up and speaking up more than we do. And I've seen variations of this where people add more parts to the tree. Ooh, what are the experiments we can run to see if more emails will really do the trick here? Congratulations on your experiments, but where is the customer in this? Where's the customer centricity? This is my version of the impact map. And basically, I start with a real customer or problem, customer or user problem or need that I've learned probably from research or possibly from voice of the customer stuff like, whoa, customer support has a mountain of tickets this month about this thing. Holy cats, there's a problem here. And then the next level is our root causes. What is causing this problem? Internal factors, external factors, technology, UX. If we don't know, it's time to take a little bit of time to research or do some digging and make sure we know the root causes. Peel away the onion. Do not guess at the root causes. Let's make sure we know. Now, I break the map there because I don't need lines after this because it isn't a one-to-one relationship. All the root causes are causing all of the carnage. But the next level of the map is, can we identify business impact because customers have this problem? Maybe we're seeing, maybe we are able to track with our analytics that people who run into this problem buy from us less often, buy less whenever they do buy from us, don't come back and buy again, complain a lot. These are things that with some digging, we can probably estimate or find. And then we can determine, the bottom of my tree is, what are some conservative numbers that we can say, if we fixed this customer problem, we think we can make these improvements for the business. So note that the bottom two are really about selling this project to the business. Hey, we should make search and search results better because users are complaining. Guess what? Nobody cares because nobody has, say it with me, empathy. Nobody cares that it's tough for the users. So, but if we can show our business how they are losing money or losing something, maybe we can get more buy-in on this project because we are going to lift some numbers and clear out some business problems while clearing out the customer's problem. Also, for people who love workshops, and I don't, If you want to do some group brainstorming, here's one that you can try. Feel free to make it prettier than this. I am not an artist, so my boards are functional but ugly. And basically, I've got 3 columns here. This is helps the business, but probably not the customer, or even works against the customer. Helps the customer, but probably not the business, might even work against the business, and helps both. And that way you can do some brainstorming with people. They don't have to sketch screens. We don't need exactly what this screen looks like. We just need ideas. I don't like to have everybody on the team sketching screens. Not everybody likes to sketch screens. And hey, we have fully qualified UX designers who should be doing that job. I don't want everybody to think if you come to a workshop, you can do a qualified specialist's job. I just want your ideas. The execution of those ideas will be another story. And it doesn't mean that we're never going to do any of the ideas that only help one side of the table, but we should just be self-aware where we have ideas that only benefit one party or another. And then you don't need dot voting. You don't have to dot vote on any of this, but if you find that your company psychologically likes the dot voting thing, then ask them to vote not on their favorite, because that's not how we choose what we build for customers. Sorry, I've got a bug flying around. Can people see it? I have a fly swatter. So we're not voting based on what people in the room like. That doesn't matter. We're going to vote on what we think is the highest priority. Now, this is mostly theater. We've done a prioritization exercise, but if you have a team that loves to vote on crap, just let them vote on what they think is a priority, and then, do what you think is best based on the previous prioritization exercise. So remember, we're trying to solve, I'm trying to use this technique because I don't want people to solve problems without understanding our target audiences. I don't want to ask people to draw screens, and I don't want them voting on their favorite. That can leave people who don't get votes feeling sad, and I don't want to create sadness. Instead, vote on high priority. That's all the slides I've prepared for you today. So just a reminder, you can go to Delta CX, which I'm about to redo, or customer-centricity.com for more information about my company. Book is Customers Know You Suck. Long version of this is Space, which you'll find on the deltacx.media site. And now we're going to do the quadrant exercise together, and then I've got time left over at the end to take your questions. So we're going to go into a Miro board. You can find it with my short URL, cxcc.to/space109, and your password is Miro, because they require an 8-character password. So that's Miro twice, all lowercase, and I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to start zipping around, and let me move it over to the shared screen so people who want to see my screen can. So I'm looking over here now. So this is your prompt. Pretend we all work together at a company that has a job board, and we're hearing problems with our job board. Our job board sucks, and people know it. So customers hate applying to jobs on our site. Our system forces them to create a new account, upload a resume, re-enter everything on that resume in a long form, and go through a long process. We see lots of drop-offs, and support is overwhelmed with complaints. Now, pretending we all work for this company and we're concerned about this job problem, before we try to fix it, before we redesign it, and even before we do deeper research, what are some things we wish we knew about our job applicants or our website visitors? What are some things that we wish we knew from research or data that would help us make better decisions? And go ahead and start putting some stuff on the board. Everything is welcome. Don't worry about which box it's in. They secretly are all the same thing. But I find that saying them 4 different ways just really sparks people's ideas. So let's see what people are saying. We're assuming people might want to log in with LinkedIn. Sure, we don't know, but that's an interesting assumption, and research could tell us if it's true. Thank you, Jan Robin. I'm sorry if I pronounce everybody terribly. How long exactly does the process take? Sure, we could do some time on task studies or check our analytics. Both are applicable. Maybe easier to check the analytics first, and we could know how long people tend to spend on certain pages or parts of the task, and we could discuss amongst ourselves how long should it take. It's taking people 3 minutes right now, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. I'm sure some of you have applied for jobs, even quite recently, and you were horrified at how long it took. How long should it take? What's the time to hire? Yeah, and can we communicate that to the user? Hi, user, thanks for applying to our job. Here's what our process looks like. This is what you can expect. I've almost never seen that. That would be really great and probably leave the customer with some warm, fuzzy feelings about our company and how organized we are. What is the reason you have to upload a resume and individually enter data? Yeah, that's usually because we're using a system that doesn't parse the resume very well. And so because our system sucks, we make people re-enter the resume. So we suck. Where are they dropping off? Yeah, and we can start with analytics on that. We don't have to necessarily jump into a 6-week research project. Our Google Analytics or other analytics should have some sort of funnel or something set up where we can see where people are dropping off. That doesn't tell us why. We're still going to need that qual research to tell us why, but we'll certainly know where. Good one. Who are our main competitors with these users? Yeah, again, that doesn't necessarily tell me what to fix or how, but it's always good to know what competitors are doing, not to copy them, to leap ahead of them, to be even better. What's the bounce rate? Sure, we're going to know that from our analytics, and we could decide, hey, our project is going to create a 10% lower bounce rate, or be conservative, 5%, 2%, whatever is any kind of improvement that would make your company happy. Remember, we also want to get questions on here that will inspire us to do some research. We want to make sure that these are the questions that will these are the things we want answered to know how to fix this. We don't know how to fix this. What's going wrong? What are questions and assumptions we have about what's going wrong with this process? Can we analyze a PDF instead of long forms? Great tech question. Can people log in with a Google or Apple account? Is our login driving users away? Do we even need a form? What are other alternatives that the user might have? What support is support providing? How long does it take? We saw that. What are the real needs of recruiters? How can we be a top search result? I want to see more questions about the users. We've definitely talked a lot about where are people dropping off and bounce rate. It's making me think that we have a lot of product managers and some marketers on the call today. So where are the people who are really thinking about the user's experience? Put on your user experience hat. Now, you might not work in UX, and that's fine. You can still care about customer centricity, and you're supposed to have empathy. Think about this from the user's perspective. Remember, we've learned they have a long process. They have to fill out a form. We can't read their resume, and we make them fill out their resume all over again, and people are dropping off. What do you wish you knew about the user experience so that our teams can improve or fix this? Is our UI outdated? Yes, someone said more information on segmentation, age, and background. You work in marketing or product. You don't work in UX. That doesn't matter, and that can sometimes put people in lazy buckets. You would not believe the crap I get because I'm 51 and I'm now in your 50 to 60 something bucket. Holy cats. It doesn't matter how old people are. Our system sucks. Our system sucks for people who are 55, and our system sucks for people who are 25. Break the cycle of overthinking about demographics. They might not matter here. We're talking about behavior and experience. I'm challenging you. And it might be uncomfortable. You might be very used to saying, give me the bounce rate, give me their demographics. These are lazy buckets. We have to look at the user's experience. Do they apply to multiple job offers in our system? Right. And how could that be easier if they have to make an account, or do they have to fill out the long application every time? Now we're thinking about the experience of the humans. Somebody wrote, what is the follow-up process if people get through? And again, that's a good question, but it doesn't fix the process. That's something that happens after the process, and I care about that too, because it is part of the larger customer experience. But that wouldn't help me redesign a better job application process. But that is part of the larger customer journey map. So you're halfway there. Let's see. Are we prioritizing companies hiring in the data they need over people finding jobs? Yes, I think some people are right now. I think we're looking way too much we're not looking at humans in a human way right now. I want to challenge everybody. What else are people saying? Can users have an integration that allows them to upload their resumes? Yes, in this sample project, we're imagining they can upload their resume, but our system often doesn't read it very well and makes them fill out a form with all of their job history because our system is bad at this. What else? Why? Yes, I'll accept that question. Why? Pick a god or patron saint and say why? Why? Do candidates use other job boards? Again, sometimes we're looking at competitors, but it doesn't help us fix our own world. Very often competitors suck too. They might suck the same and they might suck differently. So don't look too long at competitors. They probably suck. Are we recruiter or candidate centric? Yeah, I think a lot of these questions are. What about the employee journey? They're not even our employee yet. What are users' mental models when applying for jobs? Okay, see, this one I can't read. What are common traits of those who finished the process? Yeah, that might be an interesting question. Is there a difference between attitudes or behaviors from people who made it through versus people who gave up? So remember, there's a lot of interesting questions on this board, but many of them would not help our company make better decisions. They just wouldn't. Look at these questions and ask yourself, which of these questions would help our company make a better strategy, make better decisions, make a better process, make a better design? I'm worried that some of the questions on this board would not do that. And that's where whoever's running this, facilitating this exercise has to do what I'm doing right now and give a little tough love to people and say, hey, look, thanks for putting these questions up, but these are out of scope, or these are not customer centric, or these are not going to help us improve the user experience because they're looking at something that is outside of the user experience or doesn't give us the right evidence to improve it. Is that making sense? I'm going to take questions in a moment, but hopefully that's making more sense. Someone said, what are the needs of the recruiters? Sure, we can take a look at the recruit. Maybe it turns out the recruiters don't need as much information as we thought, and we can make our form shorter. So I do like that question, because even though on the surface it looks like it's not about the users, it can be about the users, because we might find the recruiters really just want the resume and their name and their email and a checkbox that they agree to the terms. Then we can make that form very short. Why is it difficult and time consuming? What are people complaining about? What is that full recruitment cycle? Why hasn't anyone designed a universal ATS? That's right. If our company could create a better ATS, that is a magical selling point about applying to our company. Who's interested in the applicant's profile? Data protection. Yeah, and again, all these are true, but these are not fixing the original problem. Data protection is cool, y'all, but our original problem was this. Customers hate applying to jobs on our site. Is data protection blocking them from applying? If that's not a root cause, it's probably not relevant right now to this. So yes, data protection is part of the picture. What we do with people's data, how we secure it, these are important. I'm not saying they're unimportant, but they don't directly fix or address this problem. Unless we find out people are dropping off because they don't trust us and they think we put their data everywhere. So remember, these questions should be things we wish we knew or things we guess or assume based on this problem. People hate applying, they drop off. Our job application sucks. It just does. So it's hard, right? Does anyone feel like this is kind of hard? Like, because we're coming up with questions that really don't help us fix the problem. Like, what's the bounce rate? Cool, I can give you a number, and maybe that's a good baseline metric that we'll collect for this project, but it doesn't get us closer to understanding root causes and fixing the problem. That's what we want to do. Do users purposefully omit information to prevent from not being shortlisted? I don't know what that means. What is our goal? Increase the number who apply? That is a good question. What do we define as success? Are we just looking for a number of applicants? Are we looking for the quality of applicants? I think some self-reflection there is a good idea. That doesn't mean I want to create friction for the users. It just means it's a good question to ask ourselves. But we can look at our definitions of success, but we have to look at the user's definition of success as well. Alrighty, let me see if I can get the chat on this other screen that I have. I've got two screens.
There were two questions.
Only
Debbie,
two.
You want me to read them out to you?
Oh, hold on. I've got the chat room. Let me see if I can. Let's see. Technical difficulties. Not recorded. So sad. Record on Mac or use OBS on Windows if you know how to use it. Caleb, I have vMix, but the problem is my camera is vMix, so I can't record from vMix. You would just get my camera. You're amazing. Thank you, Casey. Good to see you. Salome says, what would be the best way to define problem statements? Is there a specific structure, and how do you prioritize the focus areas? Okay, there's lots of questions in there. So defining the problem statement has to be from the customer's perspective. It wouldn't make sense to say customers are dropping off because of made up guessed at thing. A problem statement, if it is it is a guess, we have to then do the research to make sure it is true, and it's probably not true. We probably made it up and we need to fix it. So problem statements should be written from the perspective of the customer. And a great example of a problem statement is the exercise we're doing. My pink sticky note, which is somewhere here, this is a problem statement. So you understand a little bit the short version of who, what, when, where, why, how, just a super short version. We can't include all the data we have here, but the problem statement is customers hate applying to our jobs. And okay, why? Our system makes them create an account, upload their resume, fill out a long form, entering everything in the resume. It's a long process. Okay, so what? Well, we're seeing drop-offs and we're seeing customer support complaints. So now we're seeing there is a problem here. This is how it affects the customers. And here's a hint of how it's affecting the business. I think problem statements can generally be this short. We can always link people or connect them to the data we have around this. What is the bounce rate? What do we know about this? What are some video clips of interviews we've done? But this is a problem statement. This is normally how I structure it. People are having trouble with a certain thing. Why? Can you give me the short version of why? You know, this is like the kind of thing you could say in an elevator to someone. This is the super short version, knowing that we can always provide more information and documentation when that team wants to dig into it. But for the problem statement, I believe it should be short. What's going on? Do we have a couple of ideas of what's happening and why? And do we know a little bit about how it's negatively affecting, especially our business? Because we have to prove that usually to get some buy-in to fix it. And how do you prioritize the focus areas? So typically for prioritization, you're going to want to get together your product manager, your engineering lead, and your UX or CX lead person. It could be a researcher, could be a designer. That I would probably choose a researcher over a designer because they usually have more information because they did the research, but depends how your company is structured. And basically you can do a prioritization exercise where you are looking at all the problem statements. And of course, the product manager might have business goals in mind. Engineering has tech in mind. UX has the user and customer in mind. So we've all got different perspectives. And now we can vote in different ways. And, there's different prioritization matrices and approaches. You can pick one that works for you or try some different ones. And you can see, based on trying to make the business happy, trying to make users happy, and trying to balance engineering's work, what should we do in what order? Now, I personally like to see people first attack things that affect the most people and things that will significantly improve the user experience, especially where talk to sales. This is a great time to talk to sales or marketing. Are we seeing customers leaving because something is so bad or because we're missing an important feature that people expect to be able to do? That is usually what's going to be the burning priority. Oh, the business is losing customers or money? Fire! That's where the fire is. We've got to put that fire out first. But again, it's ultimately up to your company. There's the RICE matrix. I've got the Delta CX decision matrix if you want to Google that. You can use all different ways, but just make sure you're working with product, UX, and engineering so you have those different perspectives and it's not just one person wearing a crown going, I have decided. Thanks for that. Let's see. Someone says, this is all well. I love it. Thank you. But how does one know which methods or tools for research and in which situation to use them? So ultimately, that is why we bring in research experts. I don't expect a product manager to know the right ways to do research. They're not a research expert. I don't expect an engineer to know the right methods for research. They're not a research expert. It's another reason why we need CX and UX qualitative research experts at our company. If this is new for our company, start with 1 or 2. You don't have to hire 10 tomorrow. Maybe they're a freelancer. Maybe it's an agency. But make sure you're bringing in the people who look at that question and say, that's not even a question. Like of me as a researcher, I don't have that question. I don't go, what methods or tools am I going to use? I already know this is my specialty. So remember, depending upon what kind of job you do, this might not be your question to answer. This might be the researcher's work to let the qualified researchers do. I don't believe that everybody at our company should do research because research is highly specialized. It takes years to be good at. Research looks like this. A lot of people think research is, I'm just going to ask a couple of customers what they want. That's not good research. You could call that research, but it's not good research. I could cut your hair, but you won't be happy I did. Research is all about this longer process where first we plan it, then we recruit the right people because you can research with the wrong people. I've seen that. Then, of course, we have to meet them and have sessions with them and observe them and talk to them. Then we've got to analyze that and synthesize that. Then we have to find the insights. We can't just report this person said this and they said this and thank you for coming, I'm done. We have to turn that into insights and themes and actionable suggestions. So this is CX and UX research, especially qualitative. And I don't expect anybody who's not a qual researcher to know how to do this. And there isn't a short answer of what methods should I use when, because there's dozens of methods. And so I can't just say, oh, when you want this, do this. This is why you need specialists to answer the question. You can't always say the answer is a survey. It's rarely a survey. You can't say the answer is just walk into a coffee shop and ask some people what they like. They might not be the right people. That's why if we want the right evidence and we want our decisions to be based in good information and not guesses, We've got to start doing better research. Does it take more time? It takes a little more time. Quality usually does. We're thrilled to pieces when Apple comes out with a phone once a year because they spent the year putting quality into it. Apple doesn't rush out MVPs, do they? Apple doesn't rush out anything. Now, they don't get it right all the time. That's cool. We can all make mistakes, but they get it right a lot because they don't rush stuff out. They believe in quality over speed. We can too. It's not scary, and it's still agile if you plan it correctly.